We're back.
Okay. I think it's good to go. What I'm going to do is I am going to go while we got this going, and I want to double check.
The stomach's making gurgling noises. Hope that doesn't pick up.
No, I doubt that'll. I doubt that'll be a thing.
Big planetary alignment tonight.
Dude, it had it already scheduled. There
What?
it is.
It had our stream scheduled?
Yeah, the software I use. Okay, so we're on here.
That's live right there?
Yeah. Is it
Right.
on though? Can I hear it?
Big planetary alignment tonight.
Okay, there it is. That's going. Let me go see if x.com is going. Wait a minute. I need to go get my phone.
Is it over here?
No. I've got to go get it.
Okay.
Chat. Here we go. This is what I want to see in case anybody shows up. Is this working?
Low key, I hope somebody shows up because I feel like it'd be fun to interact with somebody.
They may not because we don't have the other apparatus going.
Yeah.
Crossing stream. You know what I mean?
Yep. Not that I expect it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not being advertised.
Right. It would be literally a fluke.
All right, double checking, seeing if this is going. Let's see. View stream. Double checking, seeing if this is going. Looks like it's working. Let's see. Okay, so it's on Twitch. Now I'm going to go look at X. Ryan, I think this is good too. Perfect. I believe we are all hands on deck, man.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Twitch seems to still be twitchy.
Twitch is twitchy.
It keeps getting frozen. I need to.
Like it's actually frozen?
Yeah, it'll hang up occasionally.
I wonder if that's what that guy was talking about. Wasn't it that he said it doesn't like you restreaming?
Let's not talk about that on Twitch.
I just wonder if that's why.
No, they want you to be exclusive. So that's what that is. But they don't pay me, so.
Yeah, but it's not like their software notices that you're doing that, so that's why it's shutting us down.
No, it's about exclusivity, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm a boomer. I don't know what's going on over here.
I don't know. I was explaining this to somebody yesterday is when I don't know how something works, I just throw out what if it's this? What if it's this? And I don't necessarily like expect you to be like, wow, what a brilliant solution. It's like, I'm just throwing things out there,
Yeah.
man.
Okay. I don't think I can change the bit rate while we're going. Can I? Let's find out. Did that work? Did it stay? Maybe that was it. I'm gonna look one more time. Doesn't seem to have helped. Twitch seems
Buggy.
angry.
It's weird.
Okay, I can see the Twitch going, or X going.
X gonna give it to you.
You can't tell if it's my old phone or if it's the restream or if it's the what. Doesn't really. It's like it doesn't want to load.
On your phone?
Uh, yeah, just in general,
Huh.
it kind of seems angry. Let me see what it looks like on here, real quick. Real quick with the real quick. Um, we see ourselves. Okay, it's humming on the desktop. It's just my phone. Okay, whatever. I think it's going.
Hopefully. We'll find out one way or another.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna tune this bad boy up.
Rock. Now I'm gonna have that in my head. Dude, I have literally had that. My muscles are getting bigger, and I can't get it out, man.
I 100% believe that. That definitely seems like something.
I went to the gym this afternoon and I'm sitting there. I had a pretty crummy leg day yesterday. So it wasn't like it's just my joints felt extra achy for some reason. So like I'm trying to squat and I'm not really hitting the reps on the weight that I'm used to comfortably hitting, you know? And so like I'm falling like 1 or 2 reps shy of being able to put it up. And then my lower back started feeling like it was dragging, you know, like trying to pick up the extra slack. Ooh. And so I was just not feeling it. But then I'd had a really good push day today. I was in there. My muscles.
Still getting audio popping of some sort. I haven't
Figured out.
quite figured out what that is. I think that it might be the fact that I've got 2 applications fighting for wanting to use the audio driver.
Oh. His hand's gonna look janky. I'm practicing though, so I did actually like try and brush up and watch a good technique video and everything like that. It's just hard to get back in the swing of it after you don't do it every day.
Writing music's the same way. I forget that it's a process. It's like the very first thing that I play and do out of the gates isn't going to necessarily be the sauce.
Yeah. I think that's what made it addicting was whenever I started doing this, I started at a low level and then I climbed, you know? And then now that I stopped doing it for a while, I want to go back to where I left off. But the reality of it is when I go back, I'm going to have to do a little bit more climbing. Now, I'm not going to have to climb as far as I did before, but I'm going to have to climb a little.
It's some kind of chord progression somewhere in there that I need to bring out. It popped a little bit.
Yeah. It's not terrible. I don't know what that sounds like in headphones, like you were saying, though.
I think it's probably obnoxious. I don't know 100% though.
There we go. That's what the problem is right there.
A little too much sparkle on that. Let me figure out how to get my sprinkles down on that a little bit.
You always remind me of that meme where that's like, you ever talk to a guitar player about what his knobs do?
Scrongly.
Like, if I spin this, it makes it a little scrongly.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, dude.
There you go. So here, we'll do this. All I'm doing on this reverb pedal, it's all virtual, so it's not a real pedal, but this is based off of that Blue Sky Strymon. I seem like an idiot because I don't remember what that's called. I don't really care right now. So this is that one that all them guys on the worship team had and wanted because Hillsong or used it, who probably U2 used it first.
Yeah.
Let's face it, we were just playing U2 songs with Jesus lyrics.
You're not wrong.
So here's the high cut. Here's the high cut off. There is no high cut on this. Listen to the really shimmery, sparkly part of the reverb. Sounds like a church organ.
Mm-hmm.
Then we put the high cut, which means it's going to cut the frequencies above. I had it at about 0.25K, so 2500. Now listen. The real in your face, I'll play the exact same chord. The real in your face sparkly part is it's tighter. It's
Okay.
closed off because it doesn't affect, it's being cut off from all of the reverb is not doing the super high end, which the reason that's a pleasing setting for reverb is because when you hear the echo of something, when you hear something actually reverberate in real life, it kind of lacks some of that high end that the original sound had in it. So from a taste standpoint, I like to cut that, get that out of the way so that it more mimics something you're used to hearing. Sometimes you want to create a sound that you're used to hearing. Sometimes you want to go creative and make a sound that you're not. It just kind of depends on the context. Often with this kind of playing, clean, pulled back like this, you don't want it to be extraordinary.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Get out of key. Oops. There it is.
The other thing about vine charcoal that's cool is if I want to erase something, it's very light and dusty, so I can literally just rub my finger on it. It's gone.
I put a roll of paper towels over there for you.
Appreciate that. I got this damp microfiber cloth, which that way I don't incriminate the crime scene.
Status arrested.
Slowly feeling better about myself as I'm doing this. I think your music's helping.
Awesome. I'm vibing much harder on the guitar this time than it was the last time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Like just what you're making or how you're
Yeah.
making it?
The brain's working better.
I gotcha. Something that I find easier about working with charcoal too, and why I wanted to move to that this week, is because thinking about it in lines, even if you're sketchy with what you're working on, if you think in tone, sometimes that's easier because it's almost like it mimics how you open your eyes. So like when you're working with a drawing, I can, like most of the time I'm sitting here like squinting at the drawing or squinting at the reference because the way that you draw, it is almost like blurry. You go general to specific. So I'm working blurry and then I'm getting more and more specific. And so I can make the whole thing like build up at the same time. And that can make it easier to work around mistakes than if you're sitting there hammering this one specific line or angle or something like that too much.
I get you.
See?
Yeah, I was noticing that you get that coal miner feeling.
Yeah, that was always what was funny is I think I've told you this story, but still one of the funniest like moments I had a biology class that was after my sculpture class. And sculpture was like charcoal classes, you do kind of come out of it looking like a coal miner. But especially me, because I'm kind of messy when I work like this. I've had to like very, very meticulously keep tabs on what I'm doing, especially if I paint. Like I have to make sure to lay stuff down. Anyways, the sculpture class I was in, we were working with plaster. Have you ever done anything with plaster? Plaster is
Other than rip it out of a house.
It's actually really intrusive because it starts off as dust. Like you mix all this dust in with water, and
Starts out like us.
Yeah. Mix it with water. It's honestly super addicting because as it starts to, like, you stir it, and it starts getting thicker. And then as it starts getting thicker, it has an exothermic reaction. So it starts getting hot. And the thing is like all that dust is flying all over the place, all over you, whatnot. You're getting like, it gets on you. And then if any moisture gets on you, like it'll harden in spots that you can't see or whatever. So then like you got to scrub later on when you shower really
you got
thoroughly.
A bunch of dingleberries.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just got a bunch of little crusties on you. And I had all that all over me and would have to go to my biology class. So I would have to walk across campus looking like I just was involved in some sort of like excavation, you know? And then I'm walking across campus. I get into my biology class and I sit in the back. I can't remember if that class I sat in the back because I would get there so late. Those were the only seats that were available. And I hated sitting in the back. I hated sitting in the front, but I was a middle guy.
Okay, middle.
Sitting in the back. Yeah. Because sitting in the back, nobody pays attention. Sitting in the front, people pay attention way too much. So like the middle is where you get the people that are like trying to pass, but they're also not trying to impress the professor. That's my people. Like I want to pass this class. I'm not looking to be his best friend. Anyways, I'm in the back and there's this girl and she tries to strike up a conversation with me and she's like, "Are you an art major?" I just looked at her and I was like, "Yeah." What gave it away, semi-jokingly or whatever. And she goes, "I could tell by the shoes you were wearing." I'm covered, like, mind you, I've got so much plaster on me. I've got like a handkerchief around because like you had to like cover your mouth because you didn't want to breathe all this stuff in all the time.
Yeah.
And like she's like, "It's your shoes." And I looked down, I was just wearing like a pair of like slides, like slip-on shoes that I didn't want to get. I was like, I don't know why, but that interaction always cracks me up so much. It's like I'm sitting there thinking that I look like head to toe like an artist, and she's just like,
"It's your shoes.
It's just your shoes.
It's some simple slides, bro."
Yeah. That was it.
Those eccentric shoes.
Yeah.
That clip I sent you of that woman that rejected the guy for his fit.
Oh yeah.
That was hilarious. That's what you reminded me of. He's wearing hooves.
He's wearing hooves. He was too. I was not expecting that to happen.
As you can tell, I can do this. I could do this forever.
Good. It's really relaxing, dude.
Oh, it relaxes me. It's hard to keep playing.
I'm sitting here drawing and like I'm thinking in my head, I feel like I should talk to you, you know, but at the same time, like it's putting me in the zone.
I'm gonna be such a better guitar player if we're doing this once a week.
Honestly, I'm not gonna be a better guitar player. I'm gonna be a better artist doing this once a week because before now I would only draw like maybe once a month, you know? And what would happen is I'd sit down to draw and then it would look terrible and I'd get mad and I wouldn't go back to it. It's terrible, but
yeah, for sure. I get it.
Dealing with my free time right now. I told you I've been playing through Red Dead. Dude, that game is so...
First one or the second
one? So pretty.
I stopped playing it because it did the same thing Witcher did to me. The beginning of the 3rd chapter, I think it was, I just had more things to do than I do in real life. And I said, I can't continue to do this. I
had more things to do than I had to do in real life.
And it's Witcher did you play Witcher 3?
I never did. So, no, I'm not even going to, that's not even worth telling. I didn't.
Okay. I'm just here to tell you, fantastic game, but wowzers on the amount of content. And Red Dead did the same thing to me. I quit playing. I never finished it. I played, which is honestly pretty far into the game, I think, which is chapter 3, and right in the beginning. And then I just was like, I'm out.
I mean, I'm on like chapter 6, I think, right now, which is pretty much almost end game, I think, because we've moved headquarters, a bunch of times. But it looks good. That's the thing about the game. It looks good, and it's not incredibly clunky as far as gameplay goes. Like, it actually, so your player isn't, how like games will look really pretty and then your player will take off from like standstill into like a dead sprint, and you're just like, people don't do that. This game, like, it forces, like, whenever you push forward, like he starts the way a person would start to walk, and then he'll pick up and run. Or like if you do start running, he'll like get down like this before he starts running. He's not, obnoxious looking in the environment. But I've been doing all the side quests and everything like that, just not really following the main story, because some of the side quests are really fun and the world is fun to explore because of everything. Like, even the fact that, like, when you're going through snow, how the snow reacts to you and how he walks slower through it and everything, or how the storms pop up, dude. Like, though, even when I'm out riding on my horse, sometimes I'll just ride. I don't even do anything in the game. I just get on my horse and just ride through the country. Like, there's something so relaxing about it. I love it.
It's a great game.
This is really off the beaten path. I thought about this. I was listening to a song by Disturbed, and this is a hot, controversial take. I think that they are a worse version of Kill Switch with Howard. Because I started liking Kill Switch when Howard was in the band. I didn't like them pre that. I didn't listen to any really metal at that time. And then when I started listening to Kill Switch, Howard was the guy. I didn't even know they had a prior guy. But a bunch of people that either didn't like them or liked them prior always mocked how Howard sounded, like, yeah, like that sort of like over the top almost singing. And I was listening to like Disturbed. He kind of sounds like that. You know what I mean? Like real deep, but super, almost Broadway in a way.
They're classically trained.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. I don't mind it. Like, Disturbed has one of my favorite covers of that Simon and Garfunkel song, the Sound of Silence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, that's phenomenal. But as far as like the musicianship goes, I think Killswitch is just better, dude. As good as Disturbed is, they are a good band. I'm not trying to say that they're terrible. I just think the composition of that band, I think I prefer Killswitch, is what I'm basically saying, if that makes sense. But I think that they're comparable. Interesting.
The voice, the tone of his voice. I think they do the same guitar tuning even. So that would make a lot of sense. Whoa, let me check. See, nothing going on there.
Yeah. Cool thing is I can see that too.
Yeah, I know.
We got 3 eyeballs on us. Was that all 3 of you?
Yep. the quality has gone down. I've took the quality down a little bit to appease the internet gods. Again, we have no subscribers. We've done nothing to promote this. This is not going to really show up in anybody's feed right now. So, it's definitely awesome. What is this? Is this so far behind? It's before I even picked up the guitar.
Yeah, because I haven't even put the black layer on the drawing.
Yeah, how long has that been going on?
Look, wow.
This isn't the most reliable way to look at this either. This is through Restream itself. Let me go just take a peek at
a little look, see.
We'll go take a peek at the actual doings. I like to catch up every now and then. Okay, so X is up to date. First thing I see when I open Twitch is us. See, it's mad.
Twitch is?
Yeah, man. Maybe it doesn't play nice. And
I don't know. I'll talk to you about that later. I want it on record.
Yeah, exactly. To figure out. Also, these places really don't like. I feel like, unfortunately, the new guy gets punished.
Yeah, I'm okay with that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I get that. Once we start doing more legwork, we might weasel our way into a decent algorithm standing.
Well, also, I think it won't give you a lot of bandwidth.
Oh.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
There's another group of Caucasian dorks. John&Kyle-Live, 4 views 3 years ago. It's not us.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
John&Kyle-Live. That's hilarious.
They look like guys that hang out with the worship team, don't play on the worship team. I shouldn't have closed it. I should have let you look at them.
Did I ever tell you about Blink-182's band name?
What about it?
So, I didn't know this until recently. They were just called Blink when they first started out.
I knew that right if you said it, I knew it.
So when they first got popular, what ended up happening was somebody reached out and was like, hey, our band name is Blank, and if you try and, we'll fight you for it, essentially. So the lawyer told him about that, and he was like, you can either change it or we can try and fight them. It's not probably worth it. And so then they were like, okay, well, we'll just add 182 to the end of the band name. I was like, okay. Somebody was like, why? That's the amount of times that Scarface says, or Al Pacino says the F word in Scarface. And there's no reason that anybody should know that ever, but it wasn't an arbitrary number. Like, they didn't just come up with it. That's such an obnoxious thing, but I loved it. I was like, okay.
That's funny. So here's what's interesting about this piece of, I don't even know what to call this kind of music. It's like soundtrack. It's like the Ice Cave level of the video game.
Yeah.
I kind of had a key in mind, but I didn't. I let the harmonies that I wanted to hear. I've never really written like that before. The harmonies that I wanted to hear, I let dictate the key. I didn't go into the song with a specific key in mind.
Yeah.
See, this is crackling too.
Yeah.
And this isn't the DAW. I'm wondering if I'll get to the bottom of it. The best option might be to fire up that additional PC again and stream to it like the original plan was. Stream to that,
Mm-hmm.
and then that goes out to the world. Because then I can the audio just comes from this computer to there. If the dual PC setup might be the way to go. I might have to resurrect that. I have to kind of resurrect it anyways to try to find some of our old passwords. But there's the rundown on that. Like when I first sent this to you, I realized that the main pad underneath it had some kind of a polyphonic effect on it. It was adding its own harmonies to the sound that existed. And it was clashing with the key that it ended up being in. I think it's in the key of A or something. No, I take that back. I don't know. I'd have to look at the notes. I'm not good enough to do that. Just by listening. The other thing was that wasn't it didn't have that pulsing rhythm. It was much simpler.
Yeah.
So I have gone and changed some of those things too. Absolute vibe on this. I'm gonna pick up my guitar. I'm kind of curious. What key is this end up being in? That's not. Boy, I'm having a hard time picking and plucking on this one. I think it changes. I think this is very modal based. But again, I didn't pay attention to that as much. I let each section kind of...
Its own thing.
Yeah, I let the harmonies decide. So what are you up to over there? You're trying to resurrect your ability to make hands because it's quite possibly the most difficult thing to make even for AI right now.
Yeah. I have that project that I want to do, and a big part of it is going to be certain moments I want to, like, you know how in a painting of like a portrait people are like, oh, the eyes really follow you, or in a portrait with a crowd, one person might jump out to you. Well, since a lot of the works that I want to do later on are narrative based, there's certain ways I want to have that connection point with the viewer. You know what I mean? And so one of the ones I'm thinking about, it's going to be a diptych of two different drawings, and both of them, the main point of connection is going to be somebody like reaching towards like the viewer, which is hard to do because it's going to take a lot of tactics of like foreshortening and anatomy and things like that. And so at base level, I just have to get good at drawing hands again.
Gotcha.
Because that's going to be a very skillfully required undertaking for me.
What is it about the hand? Is it that the fact that you have, I can imagine that drawing a cylinder or anything shaped like a cylinder is probably not easy.
Well,
and you got essentially 5 cylindrical things that you have to, there's so many different lighting things and competing shadows.
Yeah.
That it's, I feel like that it's so subtle that you could ruin that. I don't know. That's just my ignorant.
I mean, that's the thing about hands in general is it is built off basic shapes, but things that are organically structured like the human body, while it's built off simple shapes, there's still so much going on. Because so when we learned figure drawing, they make you start by drawing the skeleton. And so I had to learn the bones, not as strictly as like a doctor would have to learn the bones. I did hear rumors of art students that did have to, like, their professors were super, super strict about that kind of stuff. Mine, not so much. But still, had to learn how the bones work because, like, even knowing how both of your forearm bones, when you turn your arm like this, move, that'll inform the shape that your forearm makes. You know what I mean? Because those bones are like going like this, and so that shape changes. So if you know that a person's going like this, oh, I know that that's going to be more. That's why that shape's being created there. Then on top of that, okay, now I know what muscles. So that we would study muscular anatomy, and so I know that muscle attaches here and it runs through here. Which is funny, is like that's why I know that for weightlifting. I didn't learn it because of weightlifting. I learned it because of college. So that's why I know like your lat attaches into like your bicep like area. Like that's where that attaches, because when you reach across and you do all those, like that's why those fibers run in that direction, or how your quadriceps look and all that. That informs how your leg's gonna look inside your pants. So whenever you're drawing fabric, there's a whole net like on top of that. So when you're drawing even just a hand, you're not just drawing shapes, you're drawing so many different shapes that are layered on top of each other that are acting in certain ways. So you can build it, but at some point you've got to start branching out in different ways to capture the organic shapes. Otherwise it's just going to look like a robot. Long story short, I'm not good at it anymore. That was one of those things, like I look back at how easy it used to be for me. Like I used to get into class and be like, okay. And, I wasn't the greatest, but I was good enough that like, I remember there was kids in the class who were like, oh man, like they come over and look at what I did. And they're like, oh, you did so well on that. And they were like genuine. It wasn't like they were gassing me up or anything. And now I look back at all those old drawings and I'm like, man, that'd take me days to duplicate. And I did that in like 15 minutes.
Man, I promise you in my early 20s, I could play circles around myself. But that's also because I didn't have any responsibility and I played guitar an unimaginable amount of time.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try and sharpen this real quick.
Man, it's almost 9 already.
Really?
Yeah.
If nothing else, man, this is a nice way to end the week.
Yeah. Purposefully being creative.
Mm-hmm.
Purposefully being creative. I dig it. 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 All right, let's take a look here. We've only been live for 28 minutes.
Is that the behind version?
Is that right? Oh, this might be the criminally behind version. You might be onto something here. Let's go home.
I want to go home.
There you go. You're right. We've been live for 50 minutes, according to this. Cool, man.
I was just seeing how far behind that one is.
Mm-hmm. I've been playing the guitar for a while. I feel pretty good. I like the chill sound. I could just do that for a long time. And so as I continue to build the repertoire of pre-baked music, I can go back and forth. So I'm gonna continue to work on my improv skills. I think that I'm primarily gonna play try not to burp. I think I'm primarily gonna play in the key of G just because it is so easy on that guitar. You've got all of the strings exist in that key. So you have the dime bag principle that we don't have to mention out loud. But I can play all of the strings open, which makes for a very fun time. All of those are in key. I'm going to keep that key, and I just got to figure out how I want to keep it all exciting. I am going to yawn. Like to get a little bit better at playing blues or jazz. I don't know, man. I got to be honest. Jazz really just never. I respect the crud out of it, but it never really did grab me. It just
Never grabbed you as far as it sounded, or as far as it was to play.
It's like the audio equivalent of the smell of an old man's corduroy jacket.
I hate that makes sense to me.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you don't hate it, but at the same time, you're just like, I'm not always in the mood for the guy that wears that jacket.
Yeah, it's like you might find a Werther's original in there every now and then, but it doesn't mean I want to
We
hang
don't
around.
know what war was being fought when that Werther's made it in that jacket. That might be an old one. Anyways, it's an old piece of candy. They act like nothing expired. It's in a can. It's still good.
It's wrapped up.
Yeah, exactly. It's got plastic wrapped around it. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. Now, I'm switching gears here. I don't know. We feel like some music should be playing, but whatever. There isn't. I don't have any pre-baked yet, and I really want to make sure that most of the music that we hear. Now, people are going to be like, well, don't you have music to play? Yeah, it's a lot of metal. I don't want to do that to the average person. Most people don't want to hear metal, so I'm not going to subject it to it all the time.
Right.
I'm just not going to do that. So I've got to build up the other bank of sounds. What I want to talk to you about a little bit, because I have been really wanting to bring this up, which is because I didn't really know what this was until I heard. It wasn't even really a debate. It was a discussion. The people will go nameless because you know how I want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But emotivist, is that how you say that word?
I think so, yeah.
What are these guys? Did you know about them? Was I left out of the loop, or did you know about it at all?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know specifically about them, but I don't feel, even now knowing about them, I don't feel like they're different enough. And I don't even know that I know about them. I don't feel like they're unique enough to be worth my attention and
Well,
that regard.
I can tell you this: they're not going to be unique in this way, which is that they will be very certain to tell you that you misunderstand them,
Right. That's part of the reason why I feel that way.
while not offering you any of the same logical
Yeah.
outs. I'll
Mm-hmm.
say that. I guarantee you they're going to be just like that, and I am going to be intentionally that aggressive right now because I'm getting tired of that happening in the intellectual space. It's okay, neat. You have your qualifiers. You give yourself these graces, and you don't allow that to the other person in the discussion. It feels very one sided, and it's frankly getting obnoxious. And I think it's killing honest conversations.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But aside from that, let's step down from that. I don't want to. I don't
Get
want to
too
get.
aggressive.
Yeah, I got a little spicy there. So these people who believe that the moral statements are expressions of emotions rather than statements of facts. This is what AI has given to me. I did not come up with this. I don't know. I guess it's an excerpt from an article that it has found. It says, for example, saying murder is wrong is similar to saying boo.
What?
Yeah. That's so insane to me because boo doesn't have anything to do about unaliving a sovereign person.
Yeah.
I kind of want to click this link to find out what is this going on here.
Weird question. Is it utilizing the word boo, like just saying it in a fun, like saying boo? Or is it saying like you're saying boo, like you haven't said
I'm gonna
anything?
read it exactly for
Okay.
you. Okay, open parentheses. Murder is wrong. Close parentheses. Is similar to saying open parentheses. Boo! Exclamation point. Close parentheses.
Okay. Well, yeah.
The motive suggests argument that rational argument about morals might be inappropriate or impossible. Okay, that's kind of cool. Um, I don't agree with that, but that is at least something there that has a little bit of traction. I don't know what to say, how to say that. So that's okay. I must read it again. Emotivism suggests that rational argument about morals might be inappropriate or impossible. Inappropriate's an odd word. Impossible, I agree. Since this is a branch, I assume, of secularists, it is impossible to have a discussion, an argument about morals from a set of philosophies that believe in subjectivism. Inappropriate's odd. Why would that? I kind of want to read that now too. So then it continues. Emotivism is considered an extreme form of ethical subjectivism, where morality is not something that can be objectively determined. So they're giving credit to this guy named A.J. Ayer. He wrote a book called Truth and Logic in 1936. I'm trying to get into the habit of steel manning the position of people that I don't agree with, especially that I don't know a lot about. So I kind of want to give some grace in this way. I empathize with wanting to put so much emphasis on how emotions affect us. I do. I unfortunately regularly disregard that in myself sometimes until it becomes an issue. Just trying to be transparent, but I understand I can understand why you would want to put this much emphasis on here. I mean, it's the thing that makes or breaks a person a lot of times.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to put that as the apex of your worldview? Criticism for this: many people believe that ethical statements are based on more than just personal feelings. Yeah, it has to be. Wait a minute. Does it have to be? So, just to even push back on myself here, I believe that it has to be based more on personal feelings because those change. But the argument I would assume that they would take would be that how is that a necessity?
Say it again.
I would assume their argument, I didn't use the word moral the first time I said it, but let me try to restate this correctly. I assume their argument is going to be I vibe with the criticism that many people believe ethical statements are based on more than just personal feelings because those things can change.
Right.
I think that they would say that you are forcing that. Just because that makes you uncomfortable or you think it doesn't make sense doesn't mean that it's wrong or shouldn't be there or shouldn't be the focus or that what's wrong with making it about personal feelings. Um, I get it. It's kind of that thing where it's the human way to make order is why you would want more behind ethical statements than just emotions. And to go with that is everything the way the electricity works is powering the live stream. It's order. There's a degree to order created. The structure of a school, even if it is dysfunctional, there's still some kind of order that exists there that gets the kids there, that gets them to and from class. There's an order that exists. Well, education itself has an order, has a system.
Mm-hmm.
The government of any type, if it's going to function at all, has to have some kind of an order. So my pushback is that all of a sudden we want to say that ends at ethics when we have all of this proof that the construction of a home is creating a pile of materials that were once even more raw than the form they are now, and then creating order to make the place you live in. I just don't see how you can intellectually support, frankly, a stance of disorder.
The reason that I don't like these subjective worldviews, like emotivism, is because it just always trips me out how the people that fight for them are fighting. Like I feel like if you are a uh if you're a person that believes in true subjective reality, why would you fight anybody over anything? Because every every part of the scaffolding of how you react to something somebody does is because you hold something to be objective. So even if you're like, okay, this, punching somebody's wrong. You could get into, were you punching to protect somebody? Were you punching because you were angry at somebody? Okay, well, that assumption is that there's, justice. And the assumption that justice is something that we should strive for. Even as you simplify a subjective worldview, I don't understand, like those people, emotivists or whatever, would would say this is how I believe you should believe. Why can't I believe the way I believe if it's all subjective? You're saying one way is better of thinking. Better for what? You are holding an objective standard. That's just why all this. I don't. As it gets into the weeds, I told you the way of thinking that I thought emotivism was, that is not, is ethical subjectivism is what it's called. And that's, if you, if you look that up, it's almost the same thing.
Ethical statements are expressions of personal preference. Yeah, it's like the same thing.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
And that's what, like you were talking about.
There's an added here, which is interesting, but I imagine they would share this feeling. Morals are determined by collective agreement, not an absolute source.
Yeah. So that was a big staple point of the Enlightenment. Because I think that how I always talk to you about the guy that confused me the most in college was Soren Kierkegaard.
I believe you have mentioned that. I unfortunately don't remember much.
I mean,
I'm going to mute myself.
okay.
All right. That worked like a charm.
Lucky Charms.
Yeah. Kierkegaard, huh? I've not read much about that. I'll have to dig into that.
I won't get too deep into him because I don't, like I said, I didn't read much of him, but he was part of that like uh, Enlightenment movement that was really concerned about ethics, but didn't seem to want to place that ethic in any sort of, or the need for ethics in any sort of foundation that actually works.
But I just have a really hard time. I guess, I'm trying to steelman the other position. I guess because of living through rigid systems, it has made generations of people, thinkers, artists, very anti structure. It definitely has that deconstructionist vibe,
Yeah.
whereas it's more. I come from the point of, well, you know, my absolute dislike with the state of the modern church.
Yeah.
I believe that it's incredibly feminized. I don't think there's an issue with feminine things. It's just it's too feminine. And then, but I don't want to destroy, do a complete upheaval of the church. It just needs a reframing.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to get reframed because there's a whole other group of people that exists. Now, of course, the argument is that for years everything's been geared towards men, and that's understandable. I get it. It definitely is that coming. We're coming from that part of history, so I assume that these structures that, well, they're not structures, I guess. These ideas that are against the structures come from it from looking at the rampant abuse of structures, and they're saying that there should be nothing. Man, I just don't see how you can intellectually defend that as a point of view that will support flourishing. So you're gonna take people that are naturally feelers, because that seems to be where this is coming from. There's a large emphasis on feeling. You're gonna take this person that's probably a more nurturing person than I am naturally, maybe even yourself, and you're going to say that they're gonna deposit a worldview that means I don't get to be controlled, essentially. Okay, fine, but there's no I don't know, teeth, for lack of a better term. There's like, I feel like it's going to put them in a more of a risk of being completely steamrolled
Yeah.
by the reality of the world. Again, I empathize with the point of view that you want to, eh, the person that feels is okay. Here you go. It's starting to come to me trying to rationalize it out loud with you. It's how artists feel when they don't want to, from my strongest point of view, which is the music, they don't want to learn musical theory. They don't want to learn the structure because they're afraid. I've heard this many a times with many people that I've played music with. I don't want to learn musical theory. I don't want to learn the structure because it is going to take away and degrade my art. Now my art becomes something that's academic. So if I take that same energy and I apply it to ethics, it seems like the feeler is saying I am confined. I feel like my expression is choked out by having rules for the emotive part of me.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Right? Isn't it? That's just coming to me now. And again, I'm trying to steelman this position. I don't agree with it at all. I honestly think that it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to see why people are that subscribe to it defend it so vigorously.
Yeah.
I bet they would say something like that. It's like, yes, I feel strangled by ethics having objective points because it gets in the way of feeling freely.
See, this is a weird example too. Not a weird example. This is a good example of why I like talking to people more genuinely about things like this, because whenever you're in sort of a formal academic setting of a topic like this, most people would immediately jump to very extreme examples of good or evil to try and talk about this. But in reality, the thing that I really want to know is, what is it about existence that the person that is just a guy that works in a welding studio, like, why does he want to believe in this? Like, I know that a bunch of professors and stuff, they want to talk about world politics on that stage and everything like that. Why is it that it interests someone normal like me? You know what I mean? Like, what you're talking about is, I want my art to be unique, but I don't want to use the rules that they've used forever because it just funnels me in a direction that everybody's gone. There's no more uniqueness in that. Like, that's a really interesting way to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it seems more tangible to the everyday person rather than getting behind and talking about, like, I can talk about, dictators and religious people that all did really extreme things, but I've never met those people. I've never talked to those people. I've never even sort of, you know, had my life affected by them in a visible way. So, like, hearing kind of what you're saying there is like what they would say about their normal life. I don't know. That just really interested me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that you like that. I'm going to remember that too. It's like putting rules on a child's creative play also.
Yeah.
Like it can stifle
Yeah.
their creative play. The reason I have a pushback to this is because all it does is open the door to the people that are inherently violent to run amok. You know,
Yeah.
that's the issue. There is no safeguard. It's odd to me that people that would focus so much on the feeling component of us, the emotion side, it's almost like they're consistently running from protection, which is odd. I don't understand that. It it's like they're running from being protected.
You're going to make me look this up because I don't even know if it really goes with what you're saying, but it does. I just found an Instagram page this week and I followed them because it was really cool. And it's funny because they have sort of a similar vibe to you. You know how you always say like cowboy truths?
Yeah, simple. Couple lines, easy to understand words.
This entire let's see, following. This entire Instagram account is basically based off of it. They make it look like an old, you know, those old Western like comic books.
Yeah.
Like they make them look like those, and then they put little sayings on them. And what you're saying was, so I'm gonna try and not derail us too long and find this quickly. But
I mean, it's okay. Nobody's watching us but
yeah,
me.
you're right. It's called the Code of the West.
There you go.
Code of the West. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's pretty funny.
You trying to imagine? That's pretty funny.
Me trying to imagine my dad as a child. Can it see it? Oh, I forgot the screen's in the way. Oh, coach posted. Let's check. Let's take a look what he's doing. Okay, so it's probably running okay. My phone doesn't even really want to load this right now.
Really?
Yeah, I think my phone is just being dumb.
I wish I could sort by their posts by posts I've liked.
You can't?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna look a little bit harder and then can't find it. I'm just going to pull the parachute. Let me see. I can look at posts I've liked. Let's see.
Back itches. I got a back scratcher down here. This is code red. I'm in a bad place.
You just have back scratchers?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's kind of funny. Here it is. The post that I liked. It says, "Isn't it strange how always the spoiled, how strange how it was always the spoiled who weakened and cried first, and it was the injured, the maimed, the blind, and the poor who fought alone. The spoiled cried when things fall apart because they never had to fight to hold their world together. Those who lived without guarantees don't expect them. They endure because they know nothing is given. Comfort can create dangerous illusions that life should be easy, that struggle is unfair. But for those raised in hardship, struggle is reality. They know survival means working harder, enduring longer, and expecting less from the world, but more from themselves. True grit isn't born from ease. It comes from knowing that no one comes to save you. The fight has always been yours alone, and that's what makes you unstoppable. How I thought of that in relation to what you're talking about, as you were saying, isn't it weird how these people run from protection? They don't know they're in danger.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they run from protection. They don't know that they're being protected because that's all they've ever known.
You're right. You're right.
This hand doesn't look terrible, but it's not great. But it is.
Um,
Fingers are a little long. Maybe
the pinky, I think so. The pinky's doing something weird to me also, but I am, in fairness, looking at it on this and not over there.
Well, here's the thing, because yeah, the pinky looks weird, and here's why. This is another reason why hands are really hard. So the way, like, I'll put my hand in front of this. So when you lift any of your fingers up,
Mm-hmm.
these three are almost on their own page, whereas like my pinky and thumb operate in. There we go. Operate. So if I lift my pinky up, it does weird things. You have, I think, two muscles in your hand. Let me see if I can do it like this. You have like two muscles in your hand, like here on the pad of your hand,
Mm-hmm.
that help your pinky move that the way that it does.
Yes.
And so like so the hand that I'm drawing, it's specifically in that state.
Yeah, I
which
see.
My hand isn't operating the same way that, this is a female hand, even though it looks a little masculine because I'm not very good. But like, that's the thing that's tricky, is because I'm trying to figure out, okay, I look at it from points. So this is where the pinky ends, and I've got to figure out what angle it comes to meet the thumb at.
Yeah.
What angle does it meet this finger at? What angle? And so then you get the outer shape of it.
Okay.
And that's the thing too, is once you get the outer shape of it, it looks almost like, that's why it's like this hand right now is starting to look like, to sound really gross, just like a skin sack. Because I'm not still well in tune with how the muscles act.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like that pinky is at the right angle that it should be. It may not be the right size or width or whatever, but the rest of the reason that it looks weird to my eyes, and probably yours too, is because this area right here should be doing something like different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like it should have a little bit more tension look to it, and the angles in this, the pinky should be a little bit sharper.
So here's something I know that you may know, but I'll just say it for the sake of this thing and then just talking right now. These fingers tie in back here,
Yeah.
tendon wise. These are the ones that go up the arm. So yeah, this thing is acting locally.
Yeah.
These fingers here are acting locally. So you're probably right. There needs to be more local contouring. I don't know how else to try to say that for that part of the hand. I think I see what you're pointing out there now.
Yeah. So like I'm getting the angles right, because I like the outer angle sort of deal. Now the trick is going to be moving forward, getting like the three different ways that the hand, like, because your thumb functions differently than your pinky, and then these three fingers kind of all are on the same page.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
see that. That's dope. All right, let's see what's going on here.
See what's going on here.
How long have we been live? We've been live almost an hour and a half. I'd say 10 minutes. Let's start winding this thing down
All right.
as the second stream.
Not bad.
No, played more guitar than normal. I kind of like that better than relying too much on the
Prefabbed.
I'm gonna have the prefabbed. I want it there.
Ah.
I want to be able to pull from it.
Yeah.
So that I can stop and do this and have the silence even feels awkward. I want to have something.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind. I kind of like vibing. I felt like we were vibing really hard when I was playing and you were in the heat of it. like it was locked in, like there
Yeah.
was some kind
No,
of artistic magic happening
I
there.
liked that. Yeah.
And I think that will be a entertaining thing to see the fact that you're getting it live. I didn't predetermine any of that. I have certain runs, I have certain licks, I have certain chords that I like to go to and from, but none of that was predetermined. I didn't sit down and spend a day writing any of that.
Yeah.
It was just, the mode, the mood. It was emotive. See, to me, that's where the emotion comes out. The emotions can't be the thing that the ethical system is about. That's what the arts are for. And unfortunately, we have boiled the arts down in this society to
That is so right.
yeah,
Because this is something that I always knew, but I feel like you talking to me about art in certain ways made me realize this more so as I get older is because you would show me like metal songs that you were like, I don't agree with what they're saying per se, but I felt this.
yeah.
I get that because
Oh yeah, Septic Flesh, Third Testament. That's one of the nastiest songs lyrically,
yeah,
but man, it sounds crazy cool.
that's where I see emotions fitting is this is not right, but I'm feeling it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I think that emotivism comes from that different direction of this is right because I'm feeling it right now. And a lot of art, that's what art's for is that's some of the most powerful art is just people feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not them even if you go back music being like they were feeling um pious or some sort of feeling of sublimity towards the heavenly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Early on, because that's what Bach and Beethoven and all those guys were writing music for was churches.
Yes.
There was chamber music lightly played in there and stuff like that. But for the most part, your big players was church music. Art, a lot of art, yeah, that back in the Renaissance and stuff, it was for churches to express those feelings and those emotions. And but man, there's so many good songs and good pieces of art that it's like I know, like if I feel angry, you know what I mean? If something makes me super angry, and I know that I want to do things in that moment that I know are objectively wrong things to do. I know they're wrong things to do, but I want to do them because I'm that angry. There's a like honesty that comes from art of I know this is wrong, but look, this is how I felt in the moment. And because I won't outlet that feeling into reality, I'll put it on this page or I'll
Mm-hmm.
put it in this song.
Yes.
And that's where I'll get it out
yes.
and I'll exercise that from me.
That's the reason metal is still a part of my life, even at this into my middle
Yeah.
ages. Into the Middle Ages. You said something that made me, it's kind of off, but not. It's still on topic, but it doesn't really go off of what you just said. And
Fly, man.
I kind of feel bad because we're just going to gloss over
No,
the thing that I agree with. That
Oh,
it's an outlet, it's healthy, it's good. It's one of its main purposes is for the artist to get this out of them. And then what that thing I sent you is that art is about saving each other. I kind of thought that was neat.
yeah.
Yeah, was it specifically music? But
I think it was music
yeah,
specifically.
I kind of took it as art.
Yeah.
Anyways, another reason that building your worldview from your feelings being the thing is because you can feel a certain way and not even know any degree of the truth about a situation. That's how criminally unreliable it is. I can feel a certain way without knowing any of the details of the situation. And to build a worldview with that's another
Yeah.
incredibly dangerous because I can feel a way about a thing until I like a news article comes up and you know Joe Smith, the congressman from Idaho, says, "Oh my gosh, he said this." The headlines got me going. Now I've got a worldview built on this emotion of this, but then when you really go read what happened, you're like, oh, well, that was disingenuous.
Mm-hmm.
This article left out convenient details. That is a trapping I'm starting to see come to the surface when you talk about having these ethical subjectivism or these emotivists, is that you can feel very strongly about a thing without knowing any of the truth of a matter.
Yeah. Well, and then that in reacting to the world, because that's what you're really doing. You're not acting upon the world when you do that. You're reacting to the world. And when you react to the world, that's when you can be manipulated so easily. Because if I know John's not going to think about this, John's just going to react. If I just okay, say you and I are at a bar and I know you're that kind of guy. I know that you're just going to punch some dude for saying a certain thing because it makes you immediately angry and you immediately go into reaction. And that guy stole my seat. And when I went over and was like, dude, I was sitting there, he gave some sort of sarcastic joke that made the girls I was sitting next to laugh, and it made me feel stupid. I'm going to walk over to you because I know that you're a better fighter than me. And I'm going to be like, hey, John, this guy just said, kill switch engage. Isn't that good? Something that just makes you fly off the handle. And you go over and punch that guy. You didn't punch that guy for anything you really believed in or anything like that. I just manipulated you because I know your reaction to that was immediate.
I see where you're getting with this.
I mean, that's a really clunky sort of way to talk about this, but
at the same time, I understood your point. It seems like a reactive worldview than it does to depositing anything to be building from. Yeah. Okay. I dig it.
Can you dig it? Yeah, I'm just over here messing around right now, and it's kind of fun.
Okay, we can keep going just a couple more minutes. Yeah, we crossed the 90-minute. Woo! We crossed the 90-minute mark. I'm chilling. I'm still having a good time. We'll keep going just for a little bit. Like I said, there's nobody. Look over there. Yep, nothing going on. Yep. Cool.
Yeah, that's one of the things that one of the reasons why I like art like that. So I was telling you about that, comic book series that I'm reading that is really powerful. And in reality, there's a lot of things that happen in it that it's not that it bothers me, but it bothers me. You know what I mean? But at the same time, in the direction that they take it and the way that it builds the characters in the story, it's like, if I was physically abused as a child and I wanted to write, I grew up and art or storytelling was my main driver of getting a lot of this stuff out and sharing it with people and helping other people or connecting with other people or whatever the purpose of this is. And I wanted to make a character that I felt I wanted to show that they'd been through it. I would use my personal struggle, and I would, what if I showed my character being a child and being physically abused like I was? I wasn't, you know what I mean? But I know to someone who hadn't been physically abused as a child, they would watch that movie, they would read that comic book, read this book, and be like, ugh, this is violent and glorifying something horrible, which is a really kind of self-centered way to view that. Whereas if I am a person that had that happen to me and I read that, I'm like, oh. And I do think that's where you start getting into the dangers of making your stories try and be too inclusive. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to, like, when you make all this stuff, your goal isn't to try and come up with some super niche character to include people, but it's actually it has something to do with the storyteller.
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My goal isn't to make something super horrific so that, I stand out and I'm like, oh, it's just art. You know what I mean? But if I'm watching something or reading something or what, ever I'm consuming, if it has that in it in a way that services the character development, stuff like that, I've felt that way before, or I've felt this, or it kind of ties that in towards, I don't know, building that narrative or that structure, that painting, that song, whatever it is. and I don't know, like I'm kind of losing myself now and like what I'm saying, but uh, essentially that sort of structure is why, like, I don't know, my hard drive just wiped because I tried to loop back around and figure out what my original point was, and then I just lost it all. Yeah.
Um,
I gotta try not to do that.
it happens. Plus, you know,
I'm tired, but I'm not that tired. I don't know why that happened.
we're getting near the end, anyways. Yeah, you can. Okay, so you're saying you can make it too. You can zoom in too much. You can make it. You can make it.
That was just a like tertiary point because of like, I don't know. Stories should be more than like, oh, the main character's a man. You know, oh, I want to make a main character a man. Oh, okay, well we've done a main character that's a man. I want to make a main character that's a dog. And it's like, okay, cool. Oh, they've done that. Now I want to make a main character that's a three-legged dog. It's like, you know, that's a choppy way to explain that, but it's like
It doesn't really serve the story.
that's what I'm kind of getting at.
It's solving a problem outside of the story, and then it makes the story awkward.
Yeah, but okay, and then the whole point of me saying all that was because I was building off the point of when I share my art, there is an element of me that's in it, and when other people share their art, there's an element of them that's in it, and I think that that's supposed to happen, and that's why I don't think I like when you listen to a song that has lyrics in it that you're like, I don't agree with that, but I felt that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe don't look at a person's art and be like, oh, this person's trying to push this narrative. Maybe be like, okay, they feel that or they felt that. I think that there's a lot of really good movies out there that people miss because of that kind of thing.
I see what you mean. Interesting. I never really considered that either. So that if sometimes it is maybe not something you really want to see or think about, well, okay, there might just be a reason for it other than just trying to make something dark or shocking.
That might also too come from like my background and like being taught how to counsel people.
Mm.
Like you're going to hear something that you're not going to necessarily like or agree with or whatever. You're not there to like judge. You're there to observe and to assist. You know?
Mm-hmm. Huh. You got anything else you're gonna do?
No.
All right, big dog. I'm calling it.
All right, call it.
It's been real.
It's been
I don't know if you're gonna see this. If you do,
sorry.
you saw it. We're coming back next week.